Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I do my base routine. That includes foundation, concealer, contour, powders, the whole nine. Base is my favorite part of the makeup process, so I want to share my tips and tricks, share the products that I use so that you can achieve a flawless base as well. So if you're interested in seeing how I do my base routine, be sure to keep on watching, and if you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe down below. And without further ado, let's get started. All right, so step one, before we even put any makeup on, we want to make sure that our face is washed, cleaned, and moisturized. So whatever your skincare routine is, this is the time to do it, making sure before any makeup is on the face, our face is clean and it is moisturized. I have plenty of videos down below with my skincare routine if you guys are interested in the products that I use. But before we do put makeup on, I do want to emphasize that starting with a washed face and a moisturized face is really going to help aid in making your base come out mwah. So I've already washed and moisturized my face. What I'm gonna do, this is not included in the base routine, but I'm gonna take my Laneige lip sleeping mask and I'm gonna put that on my lips so that whenever I do get to the stage of putting lipstick or lip gloss on, my lips are moisturized and prepped. And then I'm also going to pin my hair back so that we can get to work. We don't want anything in the way what we're about to do. So the first makeup product that we're gonna go in with is primer. And this is the primer that I'm going to use. It's the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I'm gonna take about 2 pumps of this on my hand, and I'm going to work this into my face. Primer is essential to me in my base routine because I feel like it provides a protective barrier between my skin and the makeup. And if you have oily skin or you have dry skin, there's so many primers on the market that will work best for whatever skin type you have. So I would just look at what your skin type is first to begin with, and then try out some primers that are made for your skin type. But if you don't want to wear primer, it's not the end of the world. But for me, I feel like my makeup looks better when I do have a really good primer underneath it. And the Milk Hydro Grip Primer is really, really good. Like, believe the hype, it's a really good primer. But if you don't have the coins or don't want to spend your coins on Milk Hydro Grip, I have a couple of drugstore primers that are good that you can use. The first one is the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. It looks like this. And also the Maybelline Master Prime. This primer blurs and minimizes pores. So those are 2 good drugstore primers that I would use if I wasn't using the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. Our face is all primed. Now we're gonna go in with foundation. Prior to foundation, if you have any dark marks, any hyperpigmentation, this will be the time to apply any color correcting products or concealers prior to applying your foundation. I'm just gonna move on to foundation. The foundation that I'm gonna be using today is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. Now before I went bougie to Too Faced, I used to, and I still do, but I used to use the L'Oreal True Match foundation. This is in the shade C11 Coffee. This was my first drugstore foundation that matched me perfectly, and I am forever in debt to this foundation because it's got me through college, basically through young adulthood. This was and still is my ride or die, and if you watch any of my old videos, then you know I use this foundation to the ground. But you know, we done grew up a little bit, we done elevated, so now we're using the Too Faced Born This Way. This is one of my favorite foundations as well. Feel free to use whatever foundation that you like. For me, when it comes to my base, Foundation is very, very important to me. It doesn't matter about what brand it is or how expensive, how cheap it is. I care about the quality of it. So with this foundation, it is a medium to full foundation. So depending on what coverage you're going for, same with L'Oreal True Match. I would say L'Oreal True Match is a light to medium coverage. I mean, if you want to go for full, you got to really, really build it up. But you can start off with a little bit of this and build it up to whatever coverage you desire. Whereas the Too Faced, I don't have to use as much to get the full coverage that I desire if I'm going for that. So in terms of coverage, on a day-to-day basis, depending on what you do or depending on what your preference is, most people prefer a light, maybe medium coverage. So I would lean towards maybe your drugstore foundations. I wouldn't be putting Too Faced on every single day. That's just me. I would lean more towards BB creams, light to medium coverage foundations, buildable foundations, tinted moisturizers, things that you can kind of use a little bit more of if you want to get that extra coverage. Now, if we're going out full glam, night out, dinner, clubbing, whatever you do, then I would go for your more medium to full coverage foundation. Also, with foundation, it's important to have a foundation that matches your undertone. Now, if you don't know what your undertone is, I would suggest going to a Sephora or Ulta and speaking with a beauty specialist and, you know, just test out some foundations and work with them to see what your undertone may be, so that you make sure that you're choosing the right foundation for you, because foundation is going to be the literal foundation to our makeup routine. We want to make sure that whatever foundation we're using is not setting us up for failure. We want to make sure that it matches. So just make sure you know what your undertone is, because there can be 3 shades that look like this, but only one of them will match me the way that it needs to match me. For me, I know that I have a yellow, orangey undertone, so I lean more towards foundations and concealers that cater to my undertone so that it blends well with my skin's natural tone. I'm gonna put, let's see, let's do 3 pumps. Oh yeah, let's do 3 pumps on the back of my hand like this. To apply my foundation, I personally feel like you get the best coverage out of using a brush rather than a beauty sponge. I've used both. I prefer a brush. So the brush that I'm gonna use is the e.l.f. Buffing Foundation Brush. I'm gonna use my e.l.f. Mist and Set setting spray. I like to spray my brush with some setting spray to help blend the foundation. So I'm just going to apply that on my brush and blend that into my skin. So I'm using a light hand and I'm just making sure that I evenly disperse this product. Make sure I get my neck. I'm filming in natural light, so apologies if the light constantly changes, but I wanted to be sure to give you guys the most accurate and true result of how my makeup comes. Okay. Butter, literal butter. So now that our foundation has been applied, I like to move on to concealer next. So I'm gonna use 2 types of concealers. The first concealer I'm gonna use, and this is my Ruby Kisses Mineral Concealer. It's in the shade Ebony. And I'm gonna use this concealer first because it's about 2 to 3 shades lighter than my skin tone. And then I'm gonna go in with a lighter shade to provide that highlight that I prefer. So I'm gonna use not too much because it's really lightweight and I feel like it helps blend out my lighter concealer. So what I do is I just put it in highlighted areas of my face. So it's my forehead, the bridge of my nose, my cupid's bow, my chin, and then underneath my eyes. So I don't take it all the way out. I just keep it here in the triangle of my face. Okay, to blend it out, I'm gonna be using a beauty sponge, and I dampened it with warm water. So that's all blended in. And you're probably like, girl, where's the highlight? I can't, it's not giving me highlight. Once I add the brighter concealer, it'll all mesh well together. For that brighter concealer, I'm going in with my Too Faced Born This Way concealer, and it's in the shade Chestnut. So if you're not looking for super full coverage, probably won't be the concealer for you. However, a little does go a long way, because to me it's a fabulous concealer and I don't use that much. But if you want to take it light, medium coverage, I would recommend using other concealers. I'm going to show you guys some of the other concealers that I use. They're pretty inexpensive, and they also provide either medium coverage or full coverage or even light coverage. So outside of the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, I really like the Maybelline Fit Me concealer, and I have this one in the shade 35 Deep. However, I use this in conjunction with the Too Faced concealer to add that bright highlight, but their concealers are really good. Also use the Maybelline Age Rewind concealers. These are really good. As you can see with this concealer, I've used it down to the last drop, but it's really good, really good in my opinion. And then of course the tried and true LA Girl Pro concealers. Come on, like this is OG makeup right here. If you used to watch YouTube back in the 2012s, 13, 14, 15, 16s, LA Girl Pro Conceal had a chokehold on the girls, including myself. So I have Beautiful Bronze, and then I also have Chestnut. I also have the Juvia's Place concealers. I don't use these as much, I'm not gonna lie, but they are good concealers. If you are looking for like a lighter coverage, the consistency is kind of thin, so it's really good if you want to put concealer on your face and don't feel like you have any product on there. I would say use these concealers. Like I mentioned earlier, they're really inexpensive and they're good quality, but I don't gravitate towards them unless I'm doing like a natural look. We're gonna go ahead and go in with the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, and like I mentioned, a little bit goes a long way, so we're just gonna put that in the center of our under eye, put some on our nose, forehead. And as you can see, I have not dipped this brush back into the bottle because one, I'm not gonna sit here and blend this concealer out for 30 minutes and two, you really don't need that much unless you're trying to go really full glam, which if you are, then by all means go ahead. And then I'm gonna use a little bit of the Maybelline Fit Me, and I'm gonna put that in the inner corner of my mirrors right here. If I keep looking over here, that's why. I'm gonna put that in the inner corner of my eyes, just a little bit here. So to blend the concealer out, I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Flawless Concealer Brush. And I like to use a brush to blend out my brighter concealer because I feel like I can play with it a little bit more. If you want to use a sponge, you can. A sponge is going to be quicker, but I want to keep as much product as I can, and I want to centralize it to the areas that I place the highlight on. So I prefer to use a brush but if I do need to go in and blend some of the edges, then I do use my sponge. Before we blend out our concealer, I'm gonna go ahead and apply my contour. I'm using the Juvia's Place foundation stick in the shade Congo, and I am down to the last. I'm not even gonna show you guys because it's embarrassing. But I am down to the last of it, and it's like, girl, just go. Ulta is literally down the street. Go get another one. I'm gonna use my foundation brush, and I'm gonna just go in here and get some product. For contour, I'm not gonna go crazy. I'm just going to contour the areas. And like I said, it goes back to your face shape. Once you figure out what your face shape is and where you need to place product and things like that, it makes doing your makeup so much easier, because how I do my makeup is not going to be how the next person does their makeup. I can show you guys, you know, the products that I use, how I apply it, but your face is different than mine. So you might need to put your contour a little bit down right here, or you might not even need contour because your cheekbone's so fire. Like, I don't know, but just because I put mine here, it's because it goes well with my face shape. So once you know your face shape, you can still use the same products, still use the same tricks, but then you put your own little twist on it. So we're gonna put this here, and if I was using a liquid blush, I would put the liquid blush right in between the concealer and the contour. And then we're gonna put some on this forehead of ours, because yeah. You know, I don't even explain it. This wig is really giving me grace right now. I actually like applying it with a brush because I feel like I get to dictate how much product I want to use instead of just rubbing the contour stick all over my face. Some under my lips, give me a natural lip filler. So now we're gonna go in with that brush, and we're going to start blending out this concealer. I also like to have a paper towel with me when I do my makeup, because if there is any excess product, I can just wipe it off so that I'm not just moving product around in the same place. Because if it's too much, it's too much. You just take it off. You don't have to keep it on there. I'm gonna go in my beauty sponge, like I mentioned earlier, and just blend all the harsh lines and diffuse some of that concealer, because I don't like a lot of concealer down here on my chin. So we're just gonna diffuse that and just go in and, you know, blend it out a little bit. Then we're gonna go in into our under eyes. I feel like my makeup comes out so beautifully when I use light pressure and I move at a gentle pace. Now, if I'm rushing, I'm rushing. I'm not like, let me just blend so softly. Girl, I got places to be, I got things to do. But I feel like when I do take my time and I really concentrate on applying the product gracefully, it just looks like, it looks better. I don't know if that's just in my head, but I don't know. So I went in and blended out my concealer. For my contour, I'm gonna go in with this brush. It says for raw. I'm not sure, I don't know where I got this brush from, but it's just a face brush and it's dense. So I'm gonna use that to blend out my contour. To set my concealer, I'm gonna go in with my Huda Beauty setting powder. It's their Easy Bake Loose Baking and Setting Powder. And I'm gonna use the shade Cinnabon. This powder changed the way my base looks because it is so good, so good. And you don't need that much, and you get so much in here. I think this was like $30, but you get so much powder in here. It's gonna last me 5 years. I really love this powder. Before this powder, the powder that I really loved was the Cover Effect setting powder, but I don't know if they discontinued it, but I can't find that powder nowhere. That was my other favorite powder. I did try Miss Laura Mercier in the translucent shade Medium Deep, but she doesn't do it for me. I don't know what it is about Laura. I know it's a really good powder, but for me, it didn't give what the girl said it was supposed to get. So I don't know. But what I found is that with applying the Huda Beauty powder and a powder puff, y'all, game changer. The girlies on TikTok, so I bought a pack. I think it was like 10 or 20 of these. I don't know how many, but it was like $10 off Amazon. Best $10 I've spent in a while. Now the only thing I would say about this powder is just one downside, and it's the fragrance. It don't stink, but it smells like, I don't know what perfume it smells like. You know what? It smells like white diamonds. You know, it gives like early 2000s auntie perfume. So it doesn't smell, but I don't know. It's just makeup wise, I know fragrances irritate some people. So just if you do have a sensitivity to fragrances, just keep that in mind because it's really strong. But other than that, if they can make a fragrance free powder, killing the market. So what I do is I take my powder puff and I'm going to dab it in the powder. Try to get it generously so I don't have to go in again. I do about that much. And then what I'm gonna do is on the back of my hand, I'm just going to basically pat all the excess. And you're probably like, girl, you just put all that powder on there to dab it off. But we don't want all of that on our skin because we want it to be flawless. We don't want it to be cakey. So we're gonna go in and literally press the powder into our skin. Okay, so that is our setting powder applied. Next, we're going to apply our bronzer. I don't really consider it bronzer, but I'm basically going to set the areas that I contoured. And to do that, I'm going to be using my Juvia's Place Warrior 2 palette. And I'm going to use the shade Kafuru. And I've hit pan, which means it gets used. I'm going to take this brush, it's an angled brush, and I'm going to just put that in the areas that I applied my contour. Next time I'm at Sephora, I do need to get the Fenty bronzer because I've been meaning to try it, but I just haven't been to Sephora in a while. Take a little bit of it and just kind of squish my brush up and apply some on my nose. I didn't really do a heavy nose contour. I don't know, I've just been kind of taking a break from doing that. I feel like it just adds an extra step for me where when my nose already naturally contours when I do my concealer. So I'm just gonna set that. I'm gonna go ahead and set my face now before I do the other parts of it, and I'm gonna use the same e.l.f. mist and set. All right, so I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna go off camera and do the rest of my face, and then I'm gonna come back with the finished look. All right, y'all, so this is the final look to my base routine. I went ahead and threw on some lashes, did my brows, and threw on a lip off camera, but this is pretty much the look, and I am so happy with how it came out. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I hope you learned some tips and tricks that you're gonna try out so that you can perfect your base routine as well. I am so grateful for each and every one of y'all. We hit 6,000 subscribers and we're continuously growing. I am so thankful to everyone who has subscribed, watched my video, liked my video, commented, the whole 9. So thank you. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, I will see you in my next video. And as always, peace and love. Mwah.